I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine you buy a high-end computer.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right, so it's top of the line. Incredible processing power. It's capable of doing literally anything you want. Mining crypto, rendering video, running a spaceship.
The works.
Exactly. But when you take it out of the box, there is no manual.
That sounds incredibly frustrating.
It is. And to make it worse, the only software installed on this thing is a random collection of programs that your parents, your teachers, and I don't know, that one mean kid from third grade wrote for you.
Yeah, that is a terrifying image. But unfortunately, it's a pretty accurate description of the human mind.
Right. I mean, you sit down at the keyboard, you try to open the success application, but the imposter syndrome widget just keeps popping up.
Over and over.
Yeah. Or you try to launch relaxation and the whole system crashes because anxiety version 2.0 is just hogging all the RAM.
And the kicker is you didn't even install anxiety version 2.0. It just it downloaded itself in the background while you weren't looking.
Exactly. And that is exactly why I have been itching to get into the stack of notes we have today. We are doing a deep dive into a text that claims to be that missing manual.
It's a fascinating read.
It really is. It's called The Law of the Power of Your Thoughts, written by Aurelia Aron. Now, I know what you're thinking out there. You're probably rolling your eyes saying, oh, great, another Think Happy Thoughts deep dive. Just smile and the rent gets paid, right?
And honestly, if that's all this was, we wouldn't be talking about it today.
Yeah, we definitely wouldn't.
What grabbed me about Aron's work is that she doesn't frame this as psychology. She doesn't frame it as mystical magic. She frames it as pure mechanics.
Mechanics. Like fixing a car.
Or coding software, sticking with your computer metaphor. She asserts that the power of thought is a literal law of nature. It's not a variable, it's a constant.
So it's predictable.
Highly predictable. And frankly, it's as ruthless as gravity. Gravity doesn't care if you're a good person or a bad person, right? If you step off a ledge, you fall.
The pavement doesn't judge your character.
Exactly. And Aron argues that thought works the exact same way. It's a mechanical process.
That is the absolute hook for me. I just love the idea that reality has a source code. So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are positioning this as the absolute nudie's guide to hacking reality.
I like that framing.
Thanks. We aren't just going to talk about the high-level theory. We are going to extract the specific routines, the syntax rules, and the hands-on protocols for abundance, wealth, relaxation, and happiness.
Which is exactly what the source material is designed for. Aron claims to have 25 years of practical, hands-on experience with this.
Right. She's not just theorizing in a tower somewhere.
Not at all. She explicitly states in the intro that she isn't interested in the scientific theory or defending the bibliography. She's interested in the awards, as she calls them, the tangible results.
She's basically saying, I don't care why the engine works. I just know that if you push this specific button, the car goes fast.
Precisely. Just push the button.
So let's pop the hood. If we're going to hack the system, we really need to understand the operating system we're dealing with. How does Aron describe the architecture of our minds? Because she uses a very specific analogy that feels perfectly timed for our computer metaphor.
She does. She breaks the mind down into two primary components, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And she compares the subconscious explicitly to a computer hard disk.
Okay, let's stay with this for a minute, because usually when people talk about the subconscious, they talk about it like it's this mystical, shadowy basement full of dreams and inner children. But a hard disk, that sounds cold.
It is cold, and that's the entire point. The hard disk is simply the storage medium. It contains all the data, all the habits, all the automatic functions of your body, like breathing and heart rate.
Okay.
But, and this is the critical insight here, the hard disk is completely non-judgmental.
Non-judgmental in what way? Like it doesn't care what I wear?
In that it accepts literally any input without protest. It does not possess the capacity to distinguish between good and bad or true and false.
Oh.
It only distinguishes between input and execution.
So let me get this straight. If I sit at the keyboard, which I assume is my conscious mind in this analogy, and I type in a command that says, I'm a total failure, the subconscious doesn't pop up a little warning box saying, hey man, that seems kind of mean. Are you sure you want to save this?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It treats the input, I am a failure, with the exact same validity as I am a genius.
That's wild.
It simply says, command received. Failure. Executing protocols to ensure failure occurs. It will actually go to work sabotaging your efforts to align your reality with the data you just gave it.
Man, that explains so much about self-sabotage. It's not that we're broken or fundamentally flawed. It's that the machine is working almost too well. It's executing a bad script perfectly.
That is Aron's central thesis right there. The subconscious is a servant, incredibly powerful, but completely blind giant.
A blind giant. I like that.
If the conscious will, the things you think you want, conflicts with the stored program on the hard drive wins. Every single time.
Because the hard drive is running the background processes.
Correct. It controls roughly 95% of your life. So you can want to be confident all day long, but if the hard drive has a cluster of files labeled social anxiety, you're going to freeze up at that party. The machine is just following orders.
You mentioned clusters of files there. I want to dig into that because this leads us to the physics part of her argument. She says, thoughts are creative is a law of nature. Now, I've heard that bumper sticker phrase before, but she takes it a step further into actual energy dynamics, right?
She does. She posits that thoughts are actual tangible forms of energy.
Like electricity.
Exactly. And if we look at basic physics, the law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed.
Meaning you can't just have a throwaway thought.
There is absolutely no such thing as a throwaway thought. Every single thought you think is a burst of energy. It has to go somewhere. It has to have an effect.
Okay, so what happens to all the random noise in my head? You know, oh, I'm hungry, or that guy cutting me off in traffic is a jerk, or I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow. Do they just evaporate?
They don't evaporate. They bundle up. This is one of the most fascinating concepts in the text. Ariane explains that thoughts of a similar nature attract one another.
Like attracts like.
Exactly. So let's say you have a passing thought. I'm worried about money. That's a small bit of energy. But then an hour later, you think, ugh, gas is so expensive right now.
Right.
That second thought finds the first one and latches on. Then later you think, I'll never be able to afford a house.
And they start to form a clump.
She calls it a hardcore or a cluster. These thoughts bundle together in the subconscious, and as they grow, they gain mass. And as they gain mass, they gain magnetic pull.
Oh, wow. So a hardcore of negativity isn't just sitting there passively taking up space on the drive. It's actively pulling in more negativity.
It acts exactly like a magnet. A negative core attracts negative events, negative people, and triggers more negative thoughts. It becomes this self-perpetuating cycle. The more you feed that core, the stronger its gravitational pull becomes.
It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's just a snowflake, but eventually, it's an avalanche crashing right into your living room.
And the really scary part is, because this is all happening down in the subconscious, you often don't realize the snowball is massive until it hits you. You just think you're having a run of bad luck, but actually you've been building a hardcore of bad luck for 10 years.
Okay, that is sufficiently terrifying.
Okay.
But she simplifies this, right? She says that despite all the complexity of human emotion, there are really only two types of root files you can save to the disk.
Just two fundamental frequencies, love and fear.
Just two. I mean, that feels a bit binary for something as complex as a human being. What about anger? What about jealousy? What about being hangry?
Well, according to Arin, those are just skins or derivatives of the root code.
Explain that.
Take jealousy, for instance.
Yeah.
If you strip jealousy down to its naked wiring, what is it really?
Like it's insecurity.
Which is fear. It's the fear of not having, the fear of not being enough, the fear of losing what you already have.
Okay, I see that. What about anger then?
Anger is usually a defense mechanism against pain. It's the fear of being hurt, the fear of being controlled or disrespected. Aurain argues that if you dig deep enough into the code, every negative emotion dissolves into fear.
And the positive ones.
Every positive emotion, joy, peace, gratitude, they are all derivatives of love.
And here's the kicker. Is one stronger than the other? Because, let's be honest, sometimes fear feels pretty dominant in the world.
Fear screams louder, definitely. But Aurain states that love operates at a higher frequency. It is mathematically the more powerful current. In this operating system, a love command can overwrite a fear command because it is inherently stronger code.
You just have to actually input it.
You have to input it intentionally, yes.
Okay, so let's get to the input. We know the OS now. We have a non-judgmental hard drive, we have thoughts acting as magnetic energy clusters, and we have a basic choice between love and fear. Now, let's talk about hacking it. The toolkit.
The coding manual.
Yes. Because this is where most people, and I'm totally including myself here, usually screw up. We try to do affirmations, we read a blog post, we look in the mirror, but we get the syntax wrong. And if you've ever done any computer coding, you know that if you miss a single semicolon, the whole program crashes.
Or worse, it executes a command you definitely didn't intend. Aurain is very, very strict about the rules of phrasing. You can't just wish willy-nilly and expect the hard drive to figure out what you mean.
So let's break down these syntax rules. Rule number 1 for the newbie, the personal pronoun.
This is the trigger key. You absolutely must use I am.
Why is I am so critical? Why can't I just say, it would be nice to be rich?
Because the subconscious needs a subject to act upon. It would be nice as an abstract observation about the world. I am is an identity command. It identifies the user and the target simultaneously.
Give me an analogy.
It's like the difference between walking into a room and shouting, someone should really take out the trash, versus looking at a specific person, pointing at them and saying, you take out the trash.
The subconscious ignores the general suggestion, but obeys the direct command.
Correct. I am is the most powerful linguistic trigger we possess. The only exception she notes in the text is when you are doing work for someone else where you use you are. But for hacking your own reality, you must claim it with I am.
Okay, rule number 2. And I think this is the trap that catches 90% of newbies. The present tense.
This is the classic time delay glitch. We are all conditioned by society to be realistic, right?
Yeah.
So we say things like, I will be wealthy, or I am going to find a great partner.
Which sounds totally logical. It hasn't happened yet, so I use the future tense. It's just good grammar.
Logical to the conscious mind, yes, but fatal to the subconscious. The subconscious takes you literally. If you say, I will be happy, the subconscious says, okay, noted. Happiness is scheduled for the future.
And since the future is always a day away.
You never get there. You remain in a permanent state of will be. You are literally programming yourself to wait, not to have.
So you essentially have to lie to yourself. I mean, let's be real. If I'm completely broke and I stand in the bathroom mirror and say I am wealthy, my conscious mind is going to start screaming, no, you're not. You have $12 in checking.
Ariane addresses this head on. She fully acknowledges that internal conflict, but she insists that the law of creativity requires you to state the result as already accomplished.
So ignore the $12.
You aren't describing your current reality. You are inputting the destination coordinates. If you put where I am now into a GPS, you just stay where you are. You have to input where you want to go as if it is the current target.
So I am wealthy. I am healthy, have a wonderful job, even if I'm currently eating instant ramen in a leaky basement.
Especially then. Because if you affirm the basement, you reinforce the basement. You are feeding the basement hardcore. You have to overwrite the basement file with the penthouse file.
Got it. Okay, rule number 3. This one reminds me of how Google search used to work back in the early days. Positivity, or specifically, no negations.
This is a massive linguistic glitch in the human interface. The subconscious mind does not process negatives. It thinks purely in images.
Explain that for the listener. How does that work in practice?
Sure. If I say to you right now, do not think of a pink elephant, what happens?
I instantly see a giant pink elephant.
Exactly. To process the command, do not think of X, your brain first has to construct the image of X. The subconscious entirely ignores the do not and just focuses on the image.
So if I walk around saying, I am not sick,
Your subconscious hears, I am sick. It focuses on the concept of sickness. You are inadvertently feeding energy to the very thing you are desperately trying to avoid.
that is actively dangerous. So if I'm stressed about money and I say, I don't want to be in debt, I'm basically chanting debt to my hard drive.
Precisely. Arian is very clear on this rule. You must replace the negative with its positive equivalent. You have to perform a linguistic flip. Instead of I am not sick, you say I am healthy. Instead of I am not poor, you say I am prosperous.
You have to give the mind a target you actually want to hit, not a target you are trying to run away from.
Correct. The subconscious moves towards the image. You have to give it the right image.
Okay, rule number 4, accuracy and dimension.
This is all about efficiency. You need to be precise but concise. Long, rambling, please confuse the system.
So I am strong. I am successful.
Yes. Not a 3-paragraph essay on why you deserve a raise, how hard you've worked this year, and how unfair your boss is.
Keep it punchy. Make it a headline.
Exactly. Clear, undeniable commands.
Now, before we get to the specific routines, the really hands-on stuff, we have to talk about the warning label on the bottle, the golden rule. Oren actually stops the manual here to give a very serious warning to the reader.
She calls it the boomerang effect. And she doesn't frame this as just moral posturing. He frames it as a mechanical certainty.
Mechanics again.
Yes, remember the physics. Thoughts are energy. If you generate a massive cluster of hate, revenge, or harm towards someone else, you are generating that energy within your own system first.
It's like you're holding a burning hot coal, hoping to throw it at someone else.
But you're burning your own hand in the process. And Arian says that energy travels in a circle. If you send out a wish for someone to fail, that energy doesn't just hit them. If it even hits them at all, it inevitably circles back and hits the sender, often with multiplied force.
So if I'm visualizing my workplace rival tripping and falling, I'm basically digging a hole for myself to twist my own ankle in later.
In essence, yes. Or it manifests as a financial loss or a sudden health issue. The specific form might change, but the destructive quality of the energy returns to its source.
But here's the tricky part, and a listener actually emailed us asking about this specifically. What if my wish inherently involves other people?
Like what?
Like, I want a romantic relationship, or I want a promotion at work, which implies my boss has to choose to give it to me over someone else. I can't be rich and successful in a complete vacuum.
That is a very common issue, and this is exactly where the safety clause comes in. RAIN advises that anytime your desire intersects with the free will of others, you must add a specific writer to your mental contract.
What's the specific phrasing for the newbie?
You append your affirmation with, this is done according to cosmic harmony, or if this wish is good for all, let it materialize.
It's like a cosmic insurance policy.
It protects you from the boomerang. It says to the system, I want this outcome, but only if it fits the greater good and doesn't harm anyone else. It releases your specific tight grip on exactly how it happens, which paradoxically often makes it happen much faster.
Okay, so we have the syntax lockdown. I am, present tense, positive, short and punchy, safety clause included. Now let's get our hands dirty. How do we actually install this software? Because I'm guessing just thinking I am rich once while brushing my teeth isn't going to cut it.
Definitely not. Remember the hardcore concept. You are likely fighting years, maybe decades of negative programming. You need a massive amount of new data to overwrite the old files. RN outlines a hierarchy of power for the delivery methods.
Love a good ranking system. What's at the bottom of the hierarchy?
Level 1 is thinking. It's the baseline. It works, but it's ethereal. It's very easy to get distracted and let your mind wander back to your grocery list.
Right. So what's level 2?
Speaking aloud. This is significantly better than just thinking. It involves the physical body. You are using your lips, your tongue, your vocal cords. You are physically vibrating the air with the command. The sensory feedback loop to the brain is much stronger.
But there's a top tier. The ultimate power move for a newbie.
Writing.
Really. Writing it down is more powerful than speaking it aloud.
According to RN, yes. Think about the neurology involved in writing. When you write, you are engaging fine motor skills. You are visually tracking the words as they form on the paper. You are cognitively structuring the sentence. It creates a triple threat impression on the subconscious mind. Plus, it leaves a tangible trace in the physical world.
So if we really truly want to hack the system, we need to be putting pen to paper.
And not just scribbling them on a napkin at the coffee shop and throwing it away. She prescribes a very specific routine, which she actually credits to the actress Shirley MacLaine. She calls it the index card technique.
Okay, walk us through the protocol. I'm a newbie. I've got a blank stack of index cards on my desk. What do?
You take one card, you write your perfectly phrased affirmation at the very top. For example, I am joyfully receiving abundance in a harmonious way.
Safety clause included.
Exactly. Then, underneath the affirmation, you draw 21 small boxes on the card, like a little grid.
21 boxes. Why 21? Is that a magic number?
It's not magic. It's a widely accepted metric in behavioral psychology. In an Aryan system, it takes approximately 21 days to set a new neural pathway, to make a habit truly stick in the hard drive.
So every day I perform the affirmation, I check off a box.
Correct. You write it out, you check the box, but here is the catch. This is the rule that makes most people quit the program. You cannot skip a single day.
Wait, what happens if I miss one? Say I get busy, I get to day 19, and I just forget before I go to sleep.
You don't just wake up and check box 20 the next day. You have to scrap the card entirely. You go all the way back to day 1.
Oh, that is brutal. Back to zero.
Back to absolute zero. She claims the subconscious needs 21 consecutive days of pressure to fully accept the new file. Any break in the chain allows the old hardcore to reassert its dominance. It's like boiling water. If you turn off the heat just before it boils, you don't get almost boiled water. You get cooling water. You have to start heating it up all over again.
Man, that is a high standard. But I guess if you want to literally rewrite your reality, you have to put in the actual work.
Consistency beats intensity every time. It's not about writing it for 10 hours on one Saturday. It's about the relentless, steady rhythm of the daily command.
And is there a specific time of day we should be doing this? Or can I just squeeze it in on my lunch break while I'm eating a sandwich?
You can technically do it whenever, but she identifies what she calls the alpha zone as the prime time for installation.
The alpha zone. Sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It's the state of brainwave activity immediately upon waking up and just before falling asleep at night. In these specific moments, the barrier between the conscious and subconscious minds is at its thinnest.
The firewall is down.
Exactly. Your logical, critical defenses are groggy. If you input "I am wealthy" right as you're drifting off to sleep, the critical mind is too tired to argue "no, you're not." The command slips straight past the guard and into the hard drive.
So first thing in the morning, grab the index card. Last thing at night, grab the index card.
And frequency matters too. She suggests a minimum of twice a day, morning and night, but she notes that doing it 30 times a day yields much faster results.
30 times. That's a lot of writing. That's like Bart Simpson at the chalkboard in the opening credits.
It is a lot, but she frames it as an investment. If you want to rewrite a program that has been running unchecked for 20 years, say, a program of poverty or deep loneliness, you need to flood the system with the new code. You are actively drowning out the old signal.
Okay, let's get specific with the content now. We promised the listener specific affirmations for the big topics: wealth, happiness, and relaxation. Let's start with the big one everyone wants: money, abundance. How do we apply these syntax rules to our bank account without accidentally blowing up our lives?
The single biggest mistake people make with money affirmations is asking for the means rather than the end result.
Write that down for me. What's a mean?
A mean is the vehicle. I want a new job. I want to win the lottery. I want my boss to give me a raise. Those are specific pathways to get money. Ariane says you should never dictate the path to the universe. You should only ask for the state of wealth itself.
So if I ask for a job, I might get a job that pays really well but makes me absolutely miserable and stressed.
Exactly. Or you ask to win the lottery, but the odds are so astronomically stacked that you're fighting a massive statistical battle. Instead, focus on the feeling and the reality of having the resources, regardless of how they arrive.
So what's the script? Give us the exact newbie phrasing.
She provides very clean examples like, I attract more and more wealth, or I acquire 50,000 euros in a harmonious way.
There's that harmonious way clause popping up again.
It is absolutely non-negotiable when dealing with money. There are far too many stories, and she cites several of them, of people manifesting large sums of money through terrible tragedies, an inheritance because a beloved relative died unexpectedly, an insurance payout from a debilitating car crash.
Yeah, you got the check you asked for, but you lost your leg.
Exactly. The subconscious fulfilled the raw order: get money. It took the path of least resistance, which just happened to be an accident. By explicitly adding in a harmonious way for the good of all, you force the subconscious to find a path that is safe, beneficial, and positive.
That is a crucial safety tip. What about gratitude? She talks about using gratitude as a sort of, a time travel device.
Yes, this is a slightly more advanced hack, but very effective. I am so happy and grateful that...
Usually we say we're grateful after we get the gift, not before.
Maureen says to say it before. I am so happy and grateful that my income has doubled.
Why does that work from a mechanical standpoint?
Because gratitude is the emotional signature of an event that has already happened. When you feel true gratitude, you are signaling to your biology and your subconscious that the event is fully complete. It closes the gap between wanting something and having something. It tricks the hard drive into thinking the new file is already installed and running.
I love that. Fake the feeling until the reality catches up. Okay, let's pivot to the other big listener request: relaxation and emotional health. Because let's face it, getting rich is pretty stressful if you're miserable all the time.
Absolutely. And this is where her mechanical view of human emotions is really quite helpful. She outlines a specific routine called emotional disengagement.
I have to admit, that sounded a bit cold to me when I first saw the title in the notes. But when you read the actual script, it's really about setting boundaries, isn't it?
It's a survival tool for dealing with difficult people, maybe a toxic family member, a demanding boss, or a coworker who just constantly pushes your buttons. The goal here isn't to stop loving them or caring about them, but to stop being dragged down by their chaotic energy.
So how do we deprogram that annoyance? Because my instinct is to just complain about them to anyone who will listen.
Which just feeds the negative hardcore.
Yeah.
Instead, you use a specific 21-day program. You read lines daily like, I shall not worry, you will not make me unhappy. And my personal favorite, I release you to your own path.
I release you to your own path. That is powerful. It's like just choosing to drop the rope in a tug of war.
It is exactly like dropping the rope. She explains that when you are angry at someone or you're desperately trying to change their behavior, you are energetically engaged with them. You are feeding the conflict with your attention. When you state, I release you, you cut the power cord. And paradoxically, that is often the exact moment when the other person's behavior finally changes.
Because you stopped playing the game. You stopped fueling their role in the dynamic.
Right. Their subconscious can finally hear you because there isn't all this static of resentment and control blocking the signal.
What about when you're just sad? Not about a specific person, just generally down. She has a pretty tough love approach to sadness in the book.
She does. She asserts the law of substitution. The human mind can only hold one conscious thought at a single time. You literally cannot be deeply sad and truly happy at the exact same instant.
So you can't multitask emotions.
No. So her advice is a channel change. When sadness hits you, you must immediately mechanically switch the channel to a happy thought or a gratitude affirmation.
Mechanically, that's the key word there. It's not about waiting around to feel better organically. It's about forcing the gear shift.
It takes immense discipline. She doesn't deny that it takes hard work, but she argues that wallowing is a choice to keep the sadness program running on the screen. You have to step in and interrupt the script.
And forgiveness. She links forgiveness directly to physical health and financial abundance, which I found surprising.
She explains that resentment ties you to the person you dislike with an energy bond stronger than steel. If you hate someone, you are energetically handcuffed to them. You are dragging them around with you everywhere you go, into every new opportunity.
That is an exhausting image, hauling your enemies into your future.
So forgiveness isn't actually for them. It's not about saying what they did to you was okay or justified. It's simply about cutting the handcuffs so you can walk free. The script she gives is, I bless you and set you free.
I bless you and set you free. It's so simple.
Simple, but it decisively breaks the bond. It clears out the corrupted disk space so new, positive files can be downloaded.
Okay, we've covered the OS, the syntax, and the daily routines.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about failure. Because, let's be brutally honest, people try this stuff, they do it for a week, and they say, this is garbage, it didn't work. Section 6 is all about troubleshooting. Why does the system crash for most people?
The number one reason, she calls it digging up the seed.
Oh, I am definitely guilty of this one.
Most people are. Imagine you plant a seed in a garden. You want a beautiful flower. You water it. But then, every single morning, you go out and dig up the dirt to check if it has roots yet.
Are you growing? Are you growing yet? Come on, do something.
And by doing that, what inevitably happens?
I kill the plant. I expose the fragile roots to the light, and I disturb the soil.
Exactly. Constantly checking if your affirmation is working signals doubt to your subconscious. And remember the two frequencies. Doubt is a derivative of fear.
So every time I log into my banking app to see if the wealth affirmation worked overnight, I'm actually inputting a fear or lock command.
Yes. You are literally overwriting your I am wealthy command with where is the money command. And the where is it command inherently implies it isn't here.
Wow. So you just have to let go?
You place the order and you trust the mechanics. You assume the delivery is coming.
That is incredibly hard to do. Especially if you're affirming for money because rent is actually due on Friday. The pressure is real and it's scary.
It is arguably the hardest part of the entire practice. Aaron calls it mental hygiene. You have to train yourself to pretend not to see the negative reality. If you are broke, you must mentally visualize wealth and flat out ignore the empty wallet. You cannot afford to validate the empty wallet with your emotional attention.
It sounds almost delusional.
It is a strategic delusion. You are actively choosing which reality to feed with your energy, the visible current one or the potential incoming one.
And then there's the issue of contradictory thoughts. This is basically a math problem.
Right. If you diligently do your index card routine for 5 minutes in the morning, that's great. But if you spend the other 16 waking hours complaining, worrying about the news, and gossiping with coworkers.
5 minutes of I am wealthy versus 16 hours of this sucks, I'm broke, the economy is crashing.
This 16 hours win easily. The volume of data is simply higher. You aren't just fighting the old hardcore. You're actively feeding it all day long while trying to starve it for 5 minutes. It doesn't work. You need a mental diet that lasts all day.
Now, I want to circle back to a story in the text that genuinely gave me chills. It perfectly illustrates the dangers of being too specific or violating that golden rule we talked about. The story about the house.
Yes, this is a cautionary tale she cites from another author, Florence Scovel Shinn. It's haunting. A woman affirmed that she wanted a specific house. Not a house like it, but that exact specific house on the corner.
But someone else owned it. Someone actively lived there.
Someone lived there. But the woman didn't care. She kept affirming, I own that house is mine. She was focusing her absolute will on a specific asset that belonged to another person.
And what happened?
The owner of the house died.
Oh, God. That's dark.
And through a series of unexpected events, the woman actually got the house, the mechanics worked, she got exactly what she affirmed.
But there's a but here, isn't there?
But soon after she moved in, her own husband died.
Whoa.
The implication is that she forced her will against the cosmic order without using a safety clause. She introduced the energy of loss and death into the transaction to make the house available. That energy didn't just disappear when she got the keys, it lingered in her system. It boomeranged.
She got the house, but the ultimate price was the destructive energy she used to get it.
Exactly. This is why the safety clause is not optional. Never target specific assets or specific people if it infringes on their free will. Always add this or something better.
This or something better. I really like that. It shows some humility. It says to the system, I want this. But hey, universe, if you have a better idea that doesn't hurt anyone, I'm open to that too.
It releases the desperate, controlling grip. And usually the something better is actually vastly better than what you originally imagined.
So we're coming to the end of our time here.
Yeah.
And there was one philosophical bomb dropped near the very end of the text that I think we really need to grapple with before we sign off. It's about guilt.
Ah, yes. The ultimate glitch.
Oren suggests that guilt does not actually exist in the grand scheme of the universe. She calls it merely a saved program or a piece of karma we just haven't deleted yet.
It raises a profound and slightly uncomfortable question. If this whole system is true, if thoughts are just commands and reality is just a printout of those commands, then guilt is just a corrupted file. It's not a permanent moral stain on your soul. It's just bad code running in a loop.
But wait, if we have the power to delete any program, if we can overwrite poverty, sadness, and even guilt, doesn't that mean we are fully 100% responsible for every single circumstance in our lives?
That is the ultimate double-edged sword of this entire philosophy.
Because if I am the master of my reality, I am also the cause of my reality. If I'm broke, I did it. If I'm lonely, I coded it. If I'm sick, I programmed it. There's no one left to blame.
For some people, that is the most empowering thought in the world. I built this cage, which means I know how to take it apart. But for others, it is utterly terrifying. It completely removes the warm comfort of victimhood. You can't blame the economy or your parents or bad luck anymore. You have to look at your own hard drive.
So is it empowering or terrifying?
I think that depends entirely on whether you focus on the past or the future. If you look at the past with this lens, it brings a lot of shame. Look what I messed up. Look what I did to myself. But if you look at the future...
It brings absolute freedom. Because I can write whatever code I want next.
Exactly. The keyboard is yours.
Well, I think that's the perfect place to leave it. We've given you the manual, we've given you the syntax, the rest is just typing.
And remember, stop digging up the seeds to check on them.
Right. Leave the seeds alone. So here is the challenge for everyone listening to this deep dive. Go buy a pack of physical index cards. Today. Not tomorrow. Today. Pick one area of your life. Money, love, or peace. Write your newbie affirmation, I am, present tense, safety clause. Draw your 21 boxes.
And see if you can make it all the way to the end without resetting to 0.
It's